Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Raid Shadow Legends, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about a character that I regret not bringing up to 6-star and level 60 sooner, and that is going to be your famous High Elf Rare Apothecary. Because, boy, even at level 50, I found him making huge waves in my game, in particularly clan boss, but there's a lot of dungeons as well where he has become really, really useful. And honestly, I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't realize his value until now. And that's why I want to share this information with you guys. Now, if you find the information in this video helpful, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for all videos Raid Shadow Legends here on the channel. And before we get started with the rest of the video, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started an account on Raid Shadow Legends yet, then you can download the game using the QR code in the top right hand of the screen, or using the link in the description down below to get yourself a free Epic Rector draft alongside some other freebie resources which you'll use. Also, by account level 15, you will get yourself this Ugo, who is one of the best epic characters in Raid Shadow Legends. I am using them every single day on my roster, so don't delay, and they'll definitely help you out in your start. Now, I think before we go anywhere, we need to talk more about Apothecary's kit and what makes him so good and why. He's actually, I'll be honest, it's actually a fairly simple kit, but there's a lot of reasons why it's actually really good. And depending on what you have in your roster, right? Like he may not necessarily be like S tier if you have an insane roster. Your roster's huge. But for like someone like me who's only like a month and a bit into the game, honestly, pulling him has been quite beneficial. I just kind of wish I did it. I've actually had him since like week 2. I just, for whatever reason, till now, I haven't started building him. But we really need to talk about his A3 here, his Boon of Speed. So this, and what's great about rare characters is that they're so easy to book out. Unlike epics and legendaries, which take longer, especially if you're free to play or if you're, even if you're not spending much. But rare books are typically pretty easy to get. So Boon of Speed places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Now, this alone is really amazing because, Raid is a turn-based game. And in turn-based games, speed is king. And so having more speed means more turns. And this is really important. And on top of that, he also fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. So you're getting a bit of a bump there as well on top of the speed buff. Also, when you have this fully booked out, it's on a cooldown of 3, which if you have good speed on Apothecary, that means that almost always, I don't know what situations, unless you have a block debuff or something on you, you're typically always going to have this up, which makes it really good. As long as Apothecary has a decent speed, or maybe he has a little bit more speed than everyone else, this should be always permanently on. The other good thing is that he is also a support healer character. So his heal soothing chant does heal for 50% of the target's allies' HP. So not based on his HP, it's always going to do a flat amount of 50% of that ally's HP. So the more they have, the more that it's going to heal. And this heal can critical, which is pretty crazy. Now, I haven't, at least with my character, haven't gone out of my way to build for crit chance, but if you have, crit chance as a side stat, if you can get that up a little bit, then that's going to help you, especially on this character. But I don't think it's his primary function. 50% is still quite a lot. And also his Scatterbolt attack 3 times at random. Sounds really boring, right? But it's really good in dungeons like Fire Knight, where you need to do multiple attacks. And I haven't got there yet, but he's really good to have, and I'm gonna get there. On the masteries is a bit of a pain in the ass. I've talked about masteries in previous videos. Farming this it sucks. It's not fun. And I'm gonna move my my cam box here out of the way. There is this one particular mastery here at the very end of the offense tree called Giant Slayer. Has a 30% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to 7.5% of the target champion's max health, or on bosses, it's 3% of the target's max HP. Bonus damage can occur on each hit of a skill. So his A1 basic, hits 3 times, right? So that's 3 chances of 30% inflicting 3% of the target's max HP. You're largely going to be using him against bosses. but this can do a lot of damage. So I'm looking forward to, well, I'm not looking forward to grinding the mastery tree, but I I am looking forward to getting Giant Slayer because that's going to make a pretty significant difference, I think, in my apothecary. But yes, masteries are not that fun to grind. So there we go. As far as how I've built my apothecary, I find that stats are more important than sets. Now, this is something that you've probably heard a lot of people say. And for me, I've been trying to stack speed where I can. I managed to have a few sets, I guess, but largely I'm just going for example, I have a speed boots, a 5-star speed boots in the resilience. So I'm using that one. And then I'm just trying to make sure that my substats have speed as well. So I have this chest piece here that does happen to have HP percent, which is fine. I got 11 speed out of that, but I'm not doing it because of what set it is. So I'm using it. I managed to find various items that are stacking up my speed, and it's not as high as it could be. But level 50, I don't have a banner yet, and I'm at speed 192. So he's fairly fast, right? Like for my part of the game, he's pretty fast, and so he's able to apply and keep up that A2, and this is just the bonus speed, or sorry, A3, and the bonus speed is just really really good in making sure that you have that up. Now, if you are using him in dungeons and you don't have anything better, the 21 defense aura is 21% is not actually that bad. I tend to use because I'm using Alice, right? Alice is available like everywhere in the game right now because you get this as a free login, of course. I do tend to use her aura as a 30% ally attack. She's one of my strongest characters, of course, because I have a 5 red for her because of the 3 weeks of the Alice campaign, essentially. So you get a lot of stuff for Alice for free. But Apothecary is there to kind of support everyone. So where am I using him more specifically is probably what you're wondering. Well, let's just go through things and how it's kind of improved my game. Now, Clan Boss is a pretty big one. Now, unfortunately for me, I suck at Hydra. I do not have the roster really available to do this. However, I have been doing Demon Lord and Chimera, and both of those places I am currently using them. Now, I've made a significant improvement in my Demon Lord damage. So just by, I do have Geomance. Geomance has been really helpful as well. But you can see up at the top here, this is my normal attack. Here, it's almost about 24 million. Now, this is on the Auto Sam feature. I'm using Kale, Rector Drath, Alice, Geomancer. Geomancer is lead because he's being the leader that's taking the stun from Demon Lord. And Apothecary over here. And prior to Apothecary, I was using Ugo. It was fine, but like doesn't really do a ton. He does leech, but doesn't do a ton necessarily. And defense down, I guess, to the Demon Lord. But when I sub Demon Lord out, or sorry, when I sub Ugo out for Apothecary, I managed to improve my damage by like 10 million. I think prior to this, on normal, I was doing around 13 million with Ugo, and then as soon as I added an Apothecary, I bumped that up to about 24 million. So like not quite a doubling, but like almost. Like it was a lot. My Geomancer is not fully epic yet on terms of books, so the burn skill is not at the maximum reduced cooldown. And so by having Apothecary speed everyone up, everyone else is taking more turns, everyone's doing more damage, and they're getting back around on their cooldowns on their abilities that much quicker. That's really helped me. Now for hard mode, I managed to go from like 10 million to like 18.5 million. Like it's huge. Like anywhere from a 75% to closer to 100% just on using Apothecary. On Brutal, I'm at 12 million, which is not that high. Like I have some work to do, of course. He's only level 50. I actually don't have I don't have fully maxed out masteries either on any of my characters. So I think, for someone who's only like a month or so into the game, I feel that this is pretty good. Like maybe I know, maybe it's not the best in the world. I'm just kind of making do with what I have. But Apothecary being a rare character, he's not that hard to find. I mean, yeah, you do have to find him. He's not farmable off the campaign or anything. So you will have to pull some ancient shards and hope that you land him in one of those pulls. But I don't think it's impossible. I've actually pulled him a couple of times. Maybe I got lucky. I think I pulled him like 2 or 3 times, and that was good for me, I guess. Not that I don't really need multiple copies of him, because there's not much I can do with that. He's not an epic, so I can't, +1 him or anything like that. But if you do manage to get yourself a copy of Apothecary, you will do really well. I don't know if have I used him on. I'm not sure if I have. No, so I recently started upgrading him recently, actually, after I already did my attacks here on yeah, so no, I have Ugo here on my Chimera. So I haven't actually tested it yet on here, but I have without a doubt, I have a feeling that it should do better. than what Ugo was doing, because Ugo's mostly negative stats effects, and every time the Chimera swaps forms, he drops those. And so by having the buffs on my side with Apothecary, I think I'll do better long term. Aside from clan bosses, there are some other dungeons. There's a lot of dungeons where he can be very helpful because speed is just really important. I think he's by and large, a very good character to have, especially if you don't have someone that can do what he does, aka speed up your characters with a little bit of support healing. Also, that 3-hit attack basic is also going to be very good for your Fire Knight's castle. So if you haven't made a ton of progress on that, by just slotting in Apothecary into your team, honestly, I do think that he'll make a pretty significant difference there. Now, the rest of them are, I probably not, maybe Inspire's Den, but you'd be, again, largely doing it for the speed buff. So by having a 20% speed buff, or 20, was it 25? 25 plus the 15% speed bar, right? So that alone is going to make all of your characters take an extra turn or so that they wouldn't have taken before, which is pretty significant, I think, in the grand scheme of things, right? Having that up almost permanently is going to help you in pretty much every single dungeon, depending on what you have available to you in your roster, of course. So for a rare character, honestly, I think Apothecary is just out of this world. He is definitely up there as one of the top characters to build. And that's why I just kind of wanted to, I haven't played this game forever, but I do think that he's got value, in the game in a lot of different areas to the point that it's worth building, right? Again, unless you have someone else that can do exactly what he does and you've maxed out their books and that kind of stuff, and maybe you don't need him necessarily. But I do want to bring attention to this character because he is, as far as rares go, outside of the starter character, and Bellower for me, I mean, these are the top 3 rares basically in my roster. I've already talked about Bellower in a previous video, and I may have talked about Apothecary as well, but I just wanted to do a full video on him because of how amazing I think this character is. And if he is in your roster, and especially if you're a newer player, definitely build him ASAP. Don't sleep on him. Now, you can do a lot of things at level 50, so you don't necessarily, doesn't need to be your first character to 60, but I would definitely be up there in the top 5, top 10 characters and make sure that you get them to 60 eventually, because you're going to unlock the banners, of course, which is going to give them more stats, potentially more speed, things like that as well. And don't forget, if you haven't started playing Raid Shadow Legends yet, then make sure that you download using the QR code in the top right hand of the screen to get yourself a free Epic Rector Draft. Also, by account level 15, you will get yourself a free Ugo as well, one of the best epics in the game. Also, don't forget that you can use the promo code Monkey King to get yourself a free legendary Sun Wukong. We're not done yet. Also, there is Alice the Wanderer for a free 7-day login calendar that you'll get at the end of that. So 2 free legendary champions, 2 free epic champions. This is the best time to start Raid. So that's it for now, everyone. Let me know what your thoughts are about Apothecary. Are you using him in places that I didn't mention? I think he's a really great rare, and he's really propelled my clearing times and damage on clan boss especially, which is really, really important. Some of the most important things in Raid Shadow Legends. That's going to be it for now. And of course, just to let you guys know again, if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be absolutely amazing. And ring that notification bell for more videos on Raid Shadow Legends. So that's going to be it for now, everybody. And until next time, stay safe and healthy. And I'll see you all later. Boilon, signing out.